Hello and welcome to In the Court of Wenton Knave. The journey continues with the final show, Philadelphia, 96, of the double trio. So we're coming to the end of the double trio era, which marks really the first era of the fourth epoch, I think. There is more to come from this epoch. There is a compilation from this time, a live compilation called Circus, which I really like. I haven't listened to it in a long time because that stuff is elsewhere and etc. But really enjoyed it. There's two discs. One is the 60s and 70s material performed by different bands, and one is the 80s and 90s material performed by different bands, which is an interesting idea. And there you get a great representation of Crimson live. It got surpassed a bit as more releases came out, but I think it's really good. But I'm not reviewing that because it's a compilation. So, I'm Philadelphia. It is strange that, instead of going back to rehearsal after 95, they just went back on tour. And obviously we got the Mexico City show out of that, which is so fantastic, so that was a good thing. Possibly to avoid history repeating, it's possible that Fripp saw it as inevitable, that there was no way forward as it stood. He was trying to avoid it. Be interesting to see if the band actually grew with that, or whether I've just plucked these facts out of the air randomly. This is the final show of 96, as I said, so therefore probably not representative of 96, and I've always bigged up 96 as being the best stuff, but there's actually two shows and one of them's the best show ever. So that's the way it goes. And although the vocals in 95 beat the vocals in 96, because the vocals in 95 are, I think, Adrian Belew's finest. Supposedly, Bill Bruford had a wrist injury through these shows and was on painkillers actually, but you'd never guess, particularly from the opening. I mean, in retrospect, you can sort of look at it in a different way and say, well, touring was taking its toll, because of course eventually he gave up touring completely and obviously was not invited back to King Crimson and did his jazz thing, which was perhaps less gruelling, although he didn't get to stay in such good hotels. So it's not as tight as Mexico, but the speed they fly through the songs is great. So there's some of it great because they're playing it all so fast. And the other great thing about 96 is the additions to the set list. So we get stuff that wasn't played before, like Waiting Man, Sheltering Sky, and obviously 21st Century Schizoid Man. So it's great to hear those played by the double trio. Of course, they are also on Mexico City, so if you've got the complete show of Mexico City from the THRAK box, you don't need this. So now we've got the legacy of the double trio is some awesome concerts, a good album, but maybe not a fantastic album, maybe nearly fantastic, under fantastic, one less than fantastic album, a suitably bizarre improv album, but mostly their thing was that barrage of sound of the of just going crazy, and it's cleaner and rounder, if you like, than the double duo. Maybe more treble in there, but it has more clarity to it than the double duo, and it's a lot more electronic, obviously, than the 7-piece, which would have gone a lot more acoustic. So yeah, really, you need to buy the THRAK box. Forget all this, just buy the THRAK box. It's awesome, and it's actually very good value. Although it's less discs than some of the other ridiculous boxes, it's very good value. By the time you watch this, of course, that'll be in competition with the 80s box as well. So here we go. Track 1, Conundrum. It starts off slow. You think, they're doing it slow, and then it speeds up. Very tight and dynamic, so they must have been rehearsing this a lot. Track 2 is Thela Hun Ginjeet, really chaotic version, but very intense. I mean, I get the impression they're racing to the finish of the tour, Track 3 is Red, another good version with not enough drums, blah blah. Track 4 is Dinosaur. I think Adrian Belew is slightly more subdued than earlier performances. I mean, bear in mind we're talking about a really high level of performance. It's Adrian Belew, but even by Adrian Belew standards, he's singing so fantastically at this point. So I think slightly more subdued than previous performances. You have to remember with the double trio, the differences between performances are less, whereas earlier lineups, the differences were huge, sometimes. Track 5 is One Time, always awesome, fantastic song. Track 6 is Vroom Vroom, and they play it fast. Some cool stuff from Belew, actually. He's starting to add little bits into it. And sadly, that's the last performance of Vroom Vroom, I think, as far as I know. Unless by the time you watch this, they've played it. An interesting question is, did they plan to... Did they use metronomes? You'd think Fripp would have used a metronome as soon as it was technologically sensible on stage. I think they did in 84. Fripp would have been using a metronome, but did they plan to play it so fast? I don't know. Let's just turn the beats up a little bit this time. No, keep turning it up. I don't know. Because it's fast and great. Track 7 is Waiting Man. And obviously more high-tech synths, which give it a different sound. It's easy to forget just how many awesome songs are from the 80s, because Three of a Perfect Pair and particularly Beat, I think, are so 80s. You forget in there are these fantastic gems that just need to be opened out in the mix. You'll be able to hear them properly and performed with vigour. And it's especially important to remember that because at time of recording, the current band don't play them. They don't play anything from the 80s, strangely. Of course, what's going to happen is they'll start the tour in September and play a whole lot of stuff from the 80s. I don't know, maybe, who knows. Track 8 is Neurotica, overshadowed by earlier performances, but still fantastic performance. You need to hear live Neurotica by the double trio in any form, really. Definitive is Mexico City. Track 9 is Elephant Talk. The Two Sticks Improv not listed as a separate track, but it is some volume control stuff, but I don't know if Gunn is actually on that. Maybe he's not playing, maybe he's tuning up or something, and that's why they're not listed as 2 sticks, because it's just 1 stick. But it's, it's Elephant Talk, which is good as always. Then we got The Sheltering Sky. I mean, to me this album was more important before because of these tracks I didn't have anywhere else when I didn't have Mexico City, so now I've got that, this is a bit defunct. But this is a fantastic version of Sheltering Sky, actually. There's a softer guitar synth sound from Fripp, so it's not that searing. There's some interesting cool rhythm stuff going on. This is a unique version. Unlike some other double trio Discipline era songs, it has a lot of variation in it. There's a great Trey solo bit, which of course isn't on in the 80s, any of the 80s versions. And it really lifts it. And obviously that might be leading somewhere. Maybe that gave them an idea for some soundscapes with Trey doing some lyrical stuff over the top. That's a good idea. That sounds very good. Shall we do that? Whether any band members had vaginal infections at this point remains undocumented. And then the closing melody, Fripp just gets silly with the melody. Just goes... It's great. Funny. Okay. Disc 2, BBoom. Right, here we go. The final... Can't say it. The final boom. The final BBoom. Lots of cool, evil soundscapes with Bill and Adrian, I think. Synth, marimba stuff. There's quite a lot of this. The main bit is a bit sloppy, interestingly, on this one. And then we have THRAK, and it's the riff with the 2 beats, the duh, 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 not the duh, 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 duh. I can't do it. And there's quiet, busy stuff, which is... And there's some volume control stuff, Blue and Fripp sustain stuff. It's very aimless. I sense they're really trying to do something out of the box, and nothing really happens, I think. So it's one of the it might be the most subdued THRAK. And bear in mind it's the last show. But it is pretty unique. It's very long. So, that's a cool one. Next track is Sex, Sleep, Eat, Drink, Dream. Good, as always. It's much the same. Crazy bit, even the crazy bit is much the same. Track 4 is Indiscipline. There's a silly intro. Fripp is clearly having fun, playing random notes to the riff. Fastest Baloo delivery on any of them. He flies through them. This could be the last performance of Indiscipline. I don't know. I don't know if they played it in 2001. They might have done. I'm not sure. Still, plus maybe he does it in solo work, I don't know. But Bill's pretty good on that. That's a good Bill one. Track 5 is Lock Songs Aspic Part 2. Quite fast. It's more like the 80s in that sense, and it's messy because they're playing it so fast. Then we got Prism, the drum duet. Obviously better in Mexico. 21st Century Schizoid Man. They were built for this song, strangely, in the double trio, and they didn't play it that many times. I mean, it was only I don't know if it was the whole of the 96 tour, or only a few shows from the 96 tour, but they only played it a few times. Now, Baloo here isn't as good as he was in Mexico. It obviously doesn't suit his voice anyway, but here he's tighter and it shows more. So that you could put that into the equation of why they didn't play it, was it just didn't suit his voice. It's only when he's really on could he pull it off, So it's not as good as the Mexico one, but it's not his song, so that's that's fine. And then the last 2 tracks, VROOOM and Coda Marine 475, finish with a good one. It's a great performance of those 2 songs. What a lineup. See you next week for the Nashville rehearsals of the double trio.